Okay, so I'm going to start off by saying my voice might sound a little bit raspy or nasty because I am a wee bit sickly. It is that time of year still, sadly. But anyway, yesterday, February 21st, New World Interactive hosted an AMA on the Insurgency subreddit and released some juicy details about the February update. I pretty much cherry-picked all the questions with dev responses that I personally found the most interesting, and after that I'll talk a little bit about the details NWI gave us regarding this month's update. But without further ado, here's the rundown. First things first, Nordfin asks, when will you deploy the patch? And we got responded with, as outlined in our The Insurgency Legacy Continues blog post, we are still aiming to release the update before the end of the month. A preview of the update will be playable on our new community test environment tomorrow from 4 p.m. CET and be available over the weekend. More on the community test environment later. There's some juicy details in there, and before I move on to the next question here, I honestly think this update is coming a lot sooner than NWI is playing it off. I'll show everything later, but if you take a look at their Facebook page, they're showing off a lot of new assets in the update, and I feel they wouldn't be wildly showing them off if it wasn't really close to completion here. This right here is an issue I'm very fond of. Lex Kerr asks, please tell me you fixed the glitch with the invisible hands. And according to Alex, in the community test environment, a fix is being tested. That's a really super annoying issue, so hopefully that's one that gets fixed over smoothly with no problems. Here's another good one right here. Energy Live asks about an ETA and any new maps, and this response really caught my eye, really interesting here. There are no new maps planned for this update, as we have been primarily focused on optimizing the current maps. However, our team is working on new maps. The first new map you will see is completely new and is set in a abandoned construction zone. We are also in the early stages of remaking two popular maps from the original Insurgency for later in the year. Those two popular maps from the original have already been confirmed to be Sinjar. We've all had some fun times there, and Ministry, God bless. I'm really interested in this new abandoned construction zone map though. With a lot of the maps really fitting into the same aesthetic, I feel as though this could be a really good chance for the map makers to get really creative and make some memorable assets and just have something really original that could be really fun. And one last question here before I move on to the juicy stuff. Extreme Idiot, nice name, asked about updates and changes to competitive play and was given this response that some of the changes we're going to have is a new tiebreaker system. If a match ends in a tie, a team will need to get 2-point lead over the other with a faction switch every round. Kind of like Counter-Strike Overtime, but not quite the same. I know the side switches in that game work different in OT. We'll now have a lever penalty, which prevents players who leave competitive matches early from immediately requeuing. That's really good stuff right there, very important. And improved matchmaking to find better matches with players closer to your skill level. I know reading through the subreddit, a lot of people have been having problems, like people in the diamond ranks being matched with people like silver and bronze. That's obviously no fun for anybody there. I myself, I'm not a competitive player, but I'm really happy that NWI is taking these steps to make the competitive environment a lot more professional, because with this game in general, they said they were going to try, really double down on the competitive side of things, which I'm happy for that, because we're in a market now where the competitive side of first-person shooters is really what catches people's eyes. Like, we have Overwatch and Siege, which were built from the ground up to be competitive first-person shooters, which I don't really believe Sandstorm was built from the ground up to be competitive, but I am happy NWI is taking their time and being really courteous with the competitive side of things. I think that's some really good stuff right there, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So moving on now, in terms of the community test environment announcement, NWI made this really nice post that I'll put in the description detailing the community test environment, how you can play in it, and the changes in it. And a lot of the changes in it basically are just patch notes. So I'll go over some of these ones and some of the ones I can talk about. Big thing here, the upgrade to Unreal Engine 4.21. Hopefully this will fix a lot of things in terms of optimization and performance. Really big thing right there. Hopefully that goes down smoothly. Really interesting thing here, a new quote-unquote arcade mode being Team Deathmatch. That's something people have kind of asked around about for a long time with Insurgency, and I always remember the developers, they shied away from it. They always said they weren't interested in something like that, and that they wanted to keep Insurgency as a objective team-based shooter. So it's really interesting to see them change their tune with that. I never really saw Insurgency as a game to have Team Deathmatch, honestly. So I want to see how that'll work in terms of the maps and things like that. As we know, all the new weapons, the MP5A5, the MP5A2, the M240B, the MG3, and the PF940, Glock for all intents and purposes. Things we have screenshots and assets for here, the new ballistic goggles, combat goggles for security, I'm happy to have those. New Troppentarn camouflage, which we don't have any screenshots of that in game yet, but just googling what the camouflage looks like, I think that looks really nice, and I'm very excited to have that in the game. More new cosmetics. Insurgents will have access to aviators. With the screenshots we had, the textures on them look very, very nice. I'm actually pretty excited to see those in the game. And we're also going to have balaclavas with skulls on them, so if you want to be really spooky, hey. And we were also given a whole lot of the tattoos. It'll be in the update. Some of these tattoos actually look really nice. The tattoos in the game right now I don't really care for besides the beta ones, but some of these new ones I might actually see myself purchasing in the game. That's some really cool stuff right there. And that's pretty much a rundown of what we have now. Once the community testing environment dropped itself, we'll obviously know more, let alone the update itself, we'll obviously know more. But for right now, this is pretty much what we have. Thank you for watching, albeit my nasty sickness, and until next time, have yourself a good one.